What's up, friends? Welcome into an all-new edition of Pack-A-Day Live. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. Thank you, as always, for being here. It always means a ton. It is always an absolute blast chatting Packers with you guys, and it's a really, really fun season so far to be chatting Packers with you guys. So hopefully that continues through the remainder of the year. Of course, the AI simulation that we did in the offseason is 3-0 so far. If you haven't watched that video yet, go and look at it because you might want to see how that one ends. Spoiler alert. But the AI, hopefully that continues on course. This week is maybe a little bit more frustrating, but we'll see if it can continue this week. Either way, again, great to be here. Great chatting Packers. Scott, coming in early, brand new Pack-A-Day YouTube member. Thanks so much for doing that, Scott. Appreciate it a ton. Hope you're enjoying all the extra content. I did, this is my fourth piece of Pack-A-Day content that I did today. I talked to Aaron Nagler earlier today. That'll be a members only episode tomorrow, previewing the Packers Vikings game. And then I chatted with Mike Wall, and then that's for tomorrow's episode for everyone, but it's up early for members already. And then, of course, did the grades video as well, and now Pack-A-Day Live. And of course, tomorrow we've got members only Q&A as well. So make sure to check that out. But Scott, thanks so much for becoming a member. Parker, I won't be able to watch live tonight. And of course, before we get into this, per usual, I'll try to get to as many questions as I can. Should be here for about 45 minutes to an hour. Any super chats will go to the top. If we get a crazy ton of questions, like has been the usual per late, I will go to members only towards the end, but I will try to get to as many questions as I can throughout the course of the chat. But if you want to make sure you get your question asked, of course, get those super chats in. Won't be able to watch live tonight, but I was curious if you've seen noticeable improvement from Sean Rhyan in pass protection. Yeah, thanks for the question, Parker. I definitely talked about him a little bit in the grades episode today. He was my third highest graded Packer on the offensive side of the ball. Thought he had a really nice game that he put together this past week against the Titans. Thought he was really good in run block, as well as you could expect against Devondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons. Got to the second level on a couple different occasions. Did a really nice job in pass protection. So yeah, I do think that he is taking a step. And the big thing for Sean Rhyan these last couple of years, and even this offseason, you know, Matt talked about he needs to be in better shape, better conditioning. It sounded like he took that pretty seriously when he heard it, and it was kind of regurgitated to him in the locker room during a media session, and was really focused on it. I thought, you know, coming off a really grind of a game against the Indianapolis Colts in hot weather at Lambeau Field, played a lot of snaps, a lot of tough run blocking, comes back in week 3, goes against the Titans again. Jeffrey Simmons, Devondre Sweat, not an easy task. 90-degree weather in Tennessee. I thought he put a really, really nice game together. And I could be wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering something. I talked about this again on the grades episode today, but I think that might have been the first one that he played a full game of, because he was rotating last year with John Runyon Jr. And then this year he was rotating with Jordan Morgan so far. So I think that was the first game he played the entirety of. I thought it was one of the better games that he played. So yes, I did think we saw a little bit of a step from Sean Rhyan this week, and hopefully that is something that can continue moving forward. But he's off to a nice start this season. I think the question was he just going to be kind of a rotational guy, somebody that you could only play some snaps here and there, whatever. I think he's good. I think he's a legitimate starter in this league. I think a lot of teams would love to have Sean Rhyan right now, and he looks like a really solid, you know, 4th or 5th offensive lineman. I don't know that he ever gets to that second, you know, or top offensive lineman on your team or anything like that, but listen, he's playing better than John Runyon Jr. did at any point last year through 3 games this year. And John Runyon Jr. just got a $10 million per year contract in New York. So he's off to a really nice start, and I appreciate the work that he is putting in so far. Patrick, thank you for the super chat. Headed to the game Sunday, gut feeling, Jordan in or out? I think he's going to be in. I really do think Jordan plays in this one, not just wishful thinking. Now, he has to make it through the week, meaning no setbacks. I'm sure he's going to have to warm up prior to the game, make sure he's good to go. And I would be surprised if we don't get the normal talking points from Matt that says we'll give him the week to get ready and so on and so forth. But my gut feel is that Jordan plays in this one. He's looking good out on the field in the little practice videos that we saw. I think if there's any real opportunity for him to play, he will play. And I think they'll give him that opportunity, assuming everything goes according to plan this week. So never a guarantee. You never know what setbacks might come up. But I think if everything continues to trend in the right way, my guess is that he would play in this one. Titletown Hoosier Cards. How much does last season's second game against Minnesota factor into this season as far as Flores' scheme? Should we expect success or dealing with a different beast? It's actually on my number one thing on my to-do list is to go watch that game. We'll do the film review later this week for the Minnesota Vikings. That'll likely air on Saturday, at least at some extent. I might do a different topic on front of it, but then I'll get to the film review as well. I watched I watched one game this recent game against the Texans and watch Flores' defense in great detail, it's really fun stuff what he is doing right now. So I can't speak 100% because I want to go back and watch last year's again, and we'll get to that again later this week. But what I can tell you is what he has done, and I should say what the Vikings have done by giving him players that fit his scheme really well. I think there's two things that are advantageous for him. One, these new players, Dallas Turner, Andrew Van Ginkel, Blake Cashman, Stephon Gilmore, Jonathan Grenard. I think those players are making a huge impact on what this defense can do. I think the other thing is the players that are back for year two, I think you can see how comfortable they are with this defense. This is not defense 101. This is not your usual cover 2, cover 3, cover 4 man coverage. Like he is coming up with stuff that, as Matt LaFleur said today, nobody else is doing. This is Brian Flores' scheme. Nobody else is running it. And you are going to get unique stuff from him week in and week out. Now, do I think the Packers are ahead of the game because they've seen Brian Flores in this Minnesota Vikings defense twice already? Yes. For a team like Houston, that is an unscouted look. They're not spending a ton of time on the NFC North. They see the NFC North once every 4 years. Like, they're not going to spend a ton of time on that. And you're going to kind of cram for it the week of. I'm not saying that they don't have their advanced scouts and things like that, but it's an unfamiliar opponent. It is going to be a lot harder for a team like the Houston Texans to prepare for that than Green Bay, who does have 2 games from last year to lean on a little bit and go into this game. So they're not an unfamiliar opponent. Green Bay spent a lot of time on Flores in Minnesota in the offseason, knowing that they were going to play him at least twice this year. So it's a little bit of a different animal in that regard. They will absolutely be prepared. But as I kind of talked about with Mike Wall today, and you'll get that episode again tomorrow, is like, this is a heavyweight fight. Actually, maybe it was Nagler I was talking with on this, but you have the Packers offense that I don't think is afraid of anyone right now. Like, they are going to feel confident that they can go out and run their stuff and be ultra successful. I think you have a Vikings defense and Brian Flores that isn't afraid of anyone right now. And they feel like they can go out and run their stuff and be successful. And that is the massively fun matchup this week that I cannot wait to get to. This is one of those games that, as just a football nerd, I am salivating about. And obviously as a Packer fan, it amps it up even more. So cannot wait for this game. Good question. Patrick, again, if Jordan plays, does Matt run any RPO type packages for Malik given how he's played, or is it love 100%? I do not believe that they will take Jordan off the field in any real capacity if he is healthy and good to go. Now, could there be a slight difference this week if they don't feel like even that? I don't think. Like, I can't fathom a way if Jordan's not 100%, meaning he can't go out and play all the snaps. You're just not playing him. You're going to give him another week. You're already playing with a little bit of house money right now, knowing that you just got 2 wins with Malik Willis, not Will Levis, with Malik Willis. You've got house money with him, knowing that you already won those 2 games. If you need to go one more game, yes, it's a division game. Yes, it's a huge game. It's at home. You want to win this one. But I think you feel confident going into this game, knowing that what he's done these past 2 weeks. And then, number 2, you're just not subjecting Jordan to anything that would potentially worsen it, or that if he's not 100%, not 100%, but like if he's not extremely ready and at any risk of real injury in this one. So to me, if Jordan's good to go, he is the guy. He is the quarterback, and you're not taking him out for anything. So no, I don't see any Taysom Hill sort of role. I don't see any quarterback duo. I don't see anything where Malik Willis is in the backfield with Jordan Love. I don't see any of that stuff. Could it be that Matt has a ultra creative play in his playbook for once or twice this season? Like we saw one snap for Keyshawn Nixon. Yes, that could be within the realm of possibility. And could there be a 2-point play that is perfect for Malik Willis that he could maybe have in his back pocket in a crazy situation or scenario? Maybe. I just don't think you're taking Jordan off the field. He's too good of a player. He's your franchise guy. And I would expect it to be 100% Jordan. And like I said, could there be 1 or 2 plays in the course of an entire season that maybe you pull something out just for a different look at something or have something drawn up? Maybe. And I think even that is at like a 10% chance. So don't expect that. I expect Love to be the guy and not really having any snaps taken away from him from Malik Willis, period. Vex, thank you for the chat. I'm going to lose my mind if we get more pre-snap penalties. Fix it. The pre-snap ones are the big ones, right? I will say, I feel like a lot more of them have been holding and hands to the face and those sort of things. I could be wrong. I'd have to go back and count each of them up to see where each of them stand. But you can understand a little bit more or have a little bit more accident forgiveness with in the heat of the moment penalties where you're maybe just trying to do a little bit too much. Usually it's because your technique is failing you. So you need to clean those up too. But sometimes things happen in the heat of the game that are going to happen. You're being an aggressive player. You're trying to make something happen. And maybe you get some of those. Still need to get cleaned up, but I can understand those more. The pre-snap are the ones, to your point, Vex, that are a bit more inexcusable. And you just need to make sure that you're not getting behind the sticks, especially against a team like Minnesota. Talked about this with Nagler too, but this Minnesota team will eat you alive if you're predictable. If they know you're passing, good luck. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at you. You're not going to know where players are coming from. You're going to have to get the ball out of your hands fast, and it's not going to be in a level of comfort that you want within the scheme of your offense. This is a battle of who gets uncomfortable first and who gets predictable first. And if Green Bay, because of penalties, are in third and long, second and long situations, it's going to be a long day. Vice versa, if Green Bay is constantly staying ahead of the sticks and keeping Minnesota, guessing of what's going to come next, then it's advantage Green Bay in this one. But to your point, Vax, got to eliminate some of those pre-snap penalties to make sure that you're not in disadvantageous down and distances, especially this week, especially against this team. Tell us on Who's Your Cards. Also missed your question to me the other day about your favorite Packers cards. Got to be my Rodgers Flawless autograph out of 10 or Bart Starr auto out of 15. Would love to see your Woodson 1 out of 1 sometime. So I did see this ahead of time. So we've got the Charles Woodson Flawless 1 of 1 2018. It's a very sweet card. Like it a lot. Got there we go. It's a very cool card. This one's my ultimate keeper. I don't think I'll ever get rid of this one. And then my other one is the Bart Starr auto. This one's super awesome too. I love the signature on it. Look how clean that signature is. And then it's got a game worn jersey on it too. And it's authenticated 10 out of 10 or Gem Mint 10 with auto out of 10 and certified. So like this is like the ultimate Bart Starr card in my opinion. Perfect auto, 10 out of 10, graded. And then it's got the game worn as well. And it's like an early upper deck card. So what year is this? 2001. So it's not like a super modern card. I mean, it's 2001. So it's not like super old, but it's still awesome. So let me get this out of the way. Yeah. So there's that. Those are my two favorites. Good question though. All right. QB2 sailed at least 2 passes down the left sideline versus Tennessee where the wide receiver had no clue where the ball was. What did the tape tell you on those throws? Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at them perfectly. I remember both of them super well. One was to Dobbs, one was to Wicks, or was it? Yeah, I think it was Wicks on the play. And I think a lot of that is just wide receiver quarterback not being on the same page and not necessarily I think also Willis was hedging a little bit safe in that situation. So yeah, I didn't see anything super egregious. Sometimes you have to take those shots down the field. Obviously, hit the one to Watson, hit the big 3rd and 18, hit the big 3rd and 14. But those are low percentage throws more often than not. And you have a new quarterback working with wide receivers for some of the first times. And some of that just miscommunication and not being on the same page is going to happen. So kind of chalked it up to that more than anything else. This team feels deeper than some recent ones. Do you think it helps relieve fatigue both physically and mentally to have quality waiting on the sideline? Or do you think rotations disrupt rhythm? Jake, I freaking love the rotations and I freaking love the competition. Do you want to know why these wide receivers are blocking their asses off through 3 weeks so far? It's because they know that if they don't, the other 5 guys will. If you want to get on that field, that they're willing. They played all 6 of those wide receivers last week. Like Malik Heath, all of them played double-digit snaps. Every single one. Heath, Melton, Watson, Reed, Dobbs, Wicks, all played double-digit snaps. You want to get out on the field? You better block. You want to know why Jaden Reed is blocking on Malik Willis's touchdown run? It's because he knows he has to if he wants to be out on that field. That's what competition does. That's what makes you hungry to do all the little things in a game that are important, because if you screw that up, you're out, and they will put in Melton. They'll put in Heath. They'll put in Wicks. Whoever it is, they'll put those guys in, and they won't hesitate for a second because they've got all the guys that they need to be able to go out there and compete. I love Jordan Morgan getting snaps, getting him more NFL ready, maybe making it so that Sean Rhyan pushes even harder so that when he gets an opportunity like this past week, he goes out and performs knowing that that is a huge audition for him to play the full game and say, I'm the guy. I want this job full term, long term. Maybe have Rashid be the guy. I don't think that's going to be the case, by the way, nor do I think it should be the case. But if I'm Sean Rhyan, I'm going to say, hey, maybe Jordan should be rotating with Rashid on that side because I'm going to be better than that guy. Like that breeds competition. Defensive line, you're talking about from TJ Slayton, who I think played 19 snaps, 15, 18, somewhere in there, to Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark, who are in the high 30s. Everyone's between like 18 and like 38 snaps on that entire defensive front, from Enagbari to LVN to Rashawn to Preston to Slayton, Brooks, Wyatt, and Clark. All 8 of those guys playing around 18 snaps, and nobody's playing more than 38. You want to be towards the 38 side? You better go out and prove that you should be. And if you want to be on the 18 side, well, then maybe don't do your job quite as well, because you'll probably be on the lower end of that. And I don't think that's totally the case. I think Slayton is just used in different ways, but I love the competition. Not only that, but we are from an era just a couple of years ago, last year, where Kenny Clark's playing 50, 60 snaps a game. And Rashawn Gary's playing 50. Like, we're seeing some big snap counts. That makes it harder to play at your peak level when you're playing that many snaps, and wears you down through the course of the year. They have the guys to rotate through. I love the competition. I love the rotations. Get Edgerrin Cooper more in there at linebacker, Eric Wilson, Isaiah McDuffie, Quay Walker. Rotate those guys through more. Get Carrington Valentine back this week, hopefully. Get him rotating in more. Competing with Eric Stokes. Evan Williams, same thing. And these guys do different things. I love the rotations. I don't think it disrupts rhythm at all. I think it is allowing these guys to compete game in and game out, week in and week out, and show that, hey, let me be the guy. I'm going to be the guy that goes out and even does better than the other guys that are like. I think it breeds competition. I think it's great. I think it's one of the things they really learned last year with the team, with a young team. They had some competitive spots, and I think it helped these guys. And I think it's something they're going to do more and more often. I love it. I can't get enough of it, quite honest. Yes, both Paul and the Mosquito Man. I'm assuming you mean Justice Mosqueda. We're great chats this week. I love chatting with those guys. Mike Wall, great conversation today as well. Can't wait to talk to Carmen tomorrow. We have the best guests, and it excites me every single week. Not to bring you all down, but thoughts on number 4's Parkinson's diagnosis. Reminder that those entertaining us do so at a physical risk to themselves. I will put it as simply as I possibly can. I don't wish anything like that upon anyone, and I hope he gets well soon, and I hope he gets the treatment that he needs, and I hope he can have unbelievably healthy life through the remainder of his life. I don't wish that upon anyone. As far as some of the off-field stuff with Brett, all I'll say, and like I said, I'll keep it simple. If he is in fact guilty and did what he was accused of, then I hope he gets the comeuppance for that. And if he's innocent and he is exonerated of that, and he truly is innocent, then I hope he gets exonerated of that and he can put it behind him and figure out a way to maybe put the rest of his legacy in a more positive light. So I'll just leave it at that. Haven't dug into it enough to know guilty, innocent. I hope that gets found out in a court of law appropriately. And I think obviously that's what he's doing right now with the court hearings and things like that. I don't know 1,000,000% for sure. I try to put that aside and talk football, sports, the guys that are playing on the team right now. That's what I am intrigued by, interested in, and love talking about, but never wish anyone to be unhealthy. Hope that he gets the help and the health that he needs going forward for his well-being. And like I said, I hope the legal process takes care of itself, whether innocent or guilty. I don't know. I'm not here to judge, but if he's guilty, hope he serves and gets his comeuppance. And if he's not, then I hope he's exonerated and we can go back to celebrating Brett for being the great legend that he was in Green Bay. I think it's kind of as easy as that, to be quite honest. True North Packers fans, the way that this defense capitalizes on turnovers reminds me of the Packers 2010 defense. I think there's something to that, True North. And I think the thing that excites me, let me say a couple things. One, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, right? 2010 was a special defense with some extremely special players. Charles Woodson, who we just talked about there a little bit, Clay Matthews, Cullen Jenkins was unbelievable that year. Tremont Williams does not get as much credit as he should for that entire season. Like, that is as close to shutdown corner that you usually get. If you're not Dion in his prime, if you are not Revis in his prime, I mean, Tremont Williams was unbelievable that year. And then you got Sam Shields as a rookie who played unbelievable snaps transitioning to corner, which was crazy. And Nick Collins, of course, who I think had he continued his career and maybe just hung on to a couple more of the balls that hit him in the hands, I think he would arguably be having a Hall of Fame career at that point. So you are talking about some special talents on that team. For this defense to get to that level, not only do they need to prove that some of these guys can play at the level of some of the guys I just mentioned, but more important, cohesively play at the same level that defense did in 2010. So I don't know that we're there yet, but I do understand, True North, where you're coming from, of how you see some of the same things from a playmaking standpoint. Now, they have to do it consistently through the course of the year, and most importantly, in the playoffs when it matters most. That will be where this team is ultimately judged. But I do see what you're saying of how they are flying around the football, making plays, keeping eyes on it, and having opportunities to disrupt. Those things are similar. Now, can you do it against good teams? Can you do it consistently? Can you do it week in and week out? And can you do it when it matters most in the playoffs, while having some of these players develop into hopefully Pro Bowl and all pro players? That's the next step for these guys. And that's what I'm hoping to see really this week against a very, very good Minnesota Vikings offense. All right. Patrick, thank you again for the super chat. I heard Jair traveled with Ridley last week, and Tennessee shied away from targeting him for that reason. True probability he does that with Jefferson this week. There were definitely some plays where Ja was not completely across from Ridley. They did switch it up a little bit, but he did definitely travel with him some as well. And I would credit Ja for the most part, with the reason that Ridley, I think, had one catch for 8 yards in that game. And that was like a really quick, Ridley went in motion and then did like a little, I don't even know what you want to call it. Like, he was just in motion. So he did like a little, like almost in breaking route, and just got a little bit of separation. They threw it to him quick. It's an 8-yard gain. Ja got him down right away. And that was it. That was Calvin Ridley's day. And I thought he did a tremendous job. Of course, had the pick 6 as well. Ja was awesome in this one. Ridley couldn't make an impact. And again, Jair Alexander was a huge reason why. As far as whether they do that with Jefferson, I don't think primarily. How do I want to put this? I don't think you can just do that. That's how I want to put it. Can you put John Jefferson a good chunk of the game? Yes. I think you have to have a well-encompassing plan A, plan B, plan C, and throw everything at Minnesota to not give them one look over and over, or do the same thing over and over. I think there's times too where I think Jordan Addison's availability, and it looked like he practiced limited today, his availability is going to be huge in this one. If you've got that second receiver that can really be a problem as well, then you've got to think about that also. There's the Belichickian world in which, let's say Addison's out there. Can Ja shut down Addison on his own? Is that a possibility? And if so, can you shut down Addison with Jair Alexander and then double Jefferson on the other side? So you're going to have to probably double, even if you have Ja over there, you're going to have to probably double him a good chunk of the time. That's how good Justin Jefferson is. If anyone thinks that you can just put Ja over there and problem solve, it's just not that simple. Jefferson has given Ja problems in the past as well. So that's not just a simple solution. But if you think Jair can shut down Addison, now you can maybe put Stokes and a safety over the top on that side, keep that doubled. So if you're going to look there, oh, it's a double team over there, I don't want to throw over there. And then I go back to Addison, it's like, oh, Jair's over there. Well, he's shutting him down over there. So you could theoretically do some of that as well. You could just do it side by side and say, hey, whatever Stokes or Valentine get over there, they're going to cover them. And if it's Jefferson, we're going to roll a safety over the top, or we're just going to expect them to cover Addison one-on-one, and we'll put Ja and Jefferson on the other side and still roll the safety over the top on Jefferson. There's a variety of different ways that you can do it, but it's going to take zone, man, double teams, different guys, different like situations. They're going to have to be very creative. And even all of that, he might still go for 6 for 120 like that. That's how good that dude is. And I know they'll have a plan. I know they'll try to take him out of it, but Justin Jefferson is a hell of a wide receiver, and not somebody that you can take lightly at any point in the game. All right. Where did we leave off? All right. Sorry about that. All right. Given Quay's lackluster performance this season, how close do you think he is to actually turning it around? Does it feel like positive steps in the right direction are being made? I did think he had his best game this past week. Out of the 3 games, this is his best one. I think he still can get better. I think this, for the most part, is kind of Quay. We're in year 3. Now, it is a new system. Hopefully, he continues to get more comfortable with it as the rest of the year goes along. And again, this was his best week this past week. I had him more of like a neutral level player. PFF didn't like him as much. I talked to Mike Wall today. Mike thought this was his best game as well. So yeah, I think kind of this is who Quay is, but I do think there is some untapped potential still there that hopefully they can unlock through the course of the season and as he gets more comfortable with the scheme. But right now, I don't think Quay is as bad as maybe people think. I don't think he's maybe as good as the situation that Green Bay is putting him in, although I don't think they have a ton of other options either. I think he is their sort of true Mike. He's the play caller on the field. I think he kind of fits it the best, and then you just hope that you can continue to work with him through the course of the year and continue to get him better. But his progression through the course of the year is going to be a key to this Packers defense. And hopefully, even if he plays just neutral level football, that can be fine. You don't need him to be an all-pro. I know you draft him in the first round to be a really big-time player, and he hasn't been that. But if he can just play good, solid football, kind of like he did this past week, I think you're in a pretty good spot, and you can win with that with Quay at middle linebacker. If you had to put a percentage to it, how likely is it that Jordan will play on Sunday? I know nothing, right? Danny, you could ask yourself this question and answer it as well as I could, quite frankly, and anyone else in the chat. I'll say 80%. I trusted Vegas last week in saying, hey, they clearly don't think Jordan's going to play. He probably is not going to play. I would trust Vegas this week and say they certainly seem like they think he's going to play based on the 3-point spread right now. And so I will say that he likely does. But again, a variety of different things could happen throughout the course of the week. And again, I know as much as you do, Danny. So your guess is certainly as good as mine. But if I was gun to my head, had to pick something, I will say 80%. The accidental transposition with the quarterback names from last week is definitely Will and Willis. I've been doing the same thing. The funny thing is, and I talked about this a little bit today on the grades episode, I had it in my head. I'm like, I'm going to do this at some point. The Will Levis, Malik Willis, I'm like, I'm going to transpose them because I was doing it in my head as I was like prepping for episodes and stuff. And I literally thought I made it through last week and this week without doing it. And I'm like, I did it. I made it. And then I got like 5 chats today of like, you keep doing this. You keep doing this. I'm like, well, apparently I was very unsuccessful in keeping it to myself and not having it come out live. So my apologies for that. Malik Willis. I'm getting there. Like I said, I'll go back to the film. I'll correct my mistakes, work on my pad level, ready for a good week of practice. We're ready for Minnesota. And hopefully it doesn't happen again moving forward. But definitely an easy one to transpose for some freaking reason. Matthew, we must stop Aaron Jones to slow down the Vikings, and Jair Alexander must follow Jefferson. We just talked about the Jefferson thing. I don't think it's quite that easy, and I think there are different options there. But I do think Jair will be on Jefferson a decent amount in this game, but absolutely agree with part one. You want to control this Vikings offense, control Aaron Jones, and then try to make them one-dimensional and try to get Sam Darnold off his spot. We heard last year, really after the first game against Cousins, you could tell LaFleur was frustrated because he knew. He coached Kirk Cousins before. He's like, if he's staying in the pocket and you don't move him off his spot, he's Joe Montana. Like last year before injury, before Achilles or whatever, like he will be an assassin with his arm. If you don't get him to move off his spot and he just feels comfortable, he will eat you alive all day. As soon as you get him off of his spot, all bets are off. Now he's not as comfortable. He's making mistakes. He's throwing picks. He's taking sacks. And they're two totally different quarterbacks. Jared Goff, sometimes very similar. You keep him on his spot, he will eat you alive. You get him off his spot, chaos happens a little bit more. The same is very similar for Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, you let sit in the pocket with this offense, with those weapons, he'll eat. But if you can get him off his spot and create some havoc, create some chaos, he will give you the football, or at least opportunities to take the football away. He will eat some sacks, and he will make some mistakes. That's what you got to do. Stop the run, make them predictable, get after the quarterback. That's your recipe for success for stopping this Vikings offense. Don't make it so that Justin Jefferson can get those double moves and those long breaking routes. It's going to take the Packers defensive line. And this is probably, Darnold still has some mobility, but listen, this is the way you have to look at it. If Darnold rushes 10 times for 120 yards in this one, tip your cap. Glad you'll say, you know what? So be it. Get after that quarterback, get him off of his spot. And if he just happens to scramble for a win, all right, you did everything you could. You got it out of Aaron Jones's hands. You got it out of Justin Jefferson's hands. You got him off of his spot. And if for some way he scrambles for, again, 120 yards and a touchdown or something, all right, so be it. You live to see another day. Tip your cap. But that you can't be afraid of him scrambling. You got to get after him, get him off his spot, and make him uncomfortable. I think it's going to be a huge piece here. I think we got another super chat or two here. Ooh, we got a few. All right, fun ones too. All right, so Vex, is Darnold or Goff better? What NFC teams are elite? I would take Goff right now just based off of what I've seen over the last couple seasons, but Darnold's playing really, really well this season, and I want to see more of that. It's a small sample size, 3 games. So I would take Goff and what he's done over the last few years over what I've seen from Darnold so far. But if Darnold continues to play the way that he's playing, it's very much a conversation, and it's at least close. I'm intrigued with what Minnesota does. Darnold's on a 1-year deal. They just drafted JJ McCarthy. If Darnold goes and tears it up this year and continues playing the way that he is, that becomes a very interesting conversation in Minnesota and what they do in that very specific weird situation. So my guess is it's probably just Darnold, and they let McCarthy keep sitting, or maybe try to find a trade for McCarthy. I don't know, but that's a very interesting situation there. But hopefully Green Bay can start being the kryptonite for Darnold this week. And then you can maybe everyone else can copy and paste that game plan and make it difficult for him moving forward. But I'll go with Goff based on longevity, and Darnold really struggling his entire career up to these last few games. So let's give it a little bit longer and see what Darnold continues to do through the rest of the season. What NFC teams are elite? I don't know that there is a, oh my God, I'm afraid of this team in the NFC. I think there are competitors. I think there are teams that are going to compete for the Super Bowl. I think it's up for grabs. Seattle, San Francisco, I still would put in that conversation. We'll see what New Orleans does the rest of the year. I still can't take them quite seriously with Derek Carr. So we'll see what they continue to do. Atlanta's intriguing, but I don't put them in that conversation quite yet. But they're an interesting conversation. Packers, Vikings, Lions. We'll see if the Cowboys can get back on track, but they do not look good. I honestly don't think that they're a serious contender at this point. Philly obviously showed in week 1 and beating the Saints last week that there's something there. I think there's still something off with them, but I think they're going to be competitive. I think this NFC is wide open. And I think if Green Bay can stay healthy and get better through the course of the year, I'm not sure I'm convinced that Green Bay can't be the best team in the NFC, sincerely. That's not homerism. That's not rose-tinted glasses. I saw what this team just did against 2 bad teams, I guess, but still with Malik Willis at QB the last 2 weeks, and they didn't really break a sweat. One of those games easy with their backup QB. This team gets going. If they get on all cylinders, if they stay healthy, they can be as good, if not better, than any team in the NFC. And that should give Packer fans a lot of reason for excitement. What about Minnesota's D is so confusing for opposing teams? My gut feels a 17-13 game, coin flip on who wins. John, man, I don't know if you have access to it. NFL Pro, it is worth it if you do not, but go watch it, my friend. It is fun to freaking watch. If you want to nerd over some defensive football, there are plays. So what they do a lot of is they will load 8 guys up in the front. And I'm not talking about like 8 guys in the box. I'm talking like 8 guys at the line. A lot of double A gap looks. So, and then like usually like a corner, like a safety off the edge. So you might see, let's say you're in 11 personnel, 3 wides, a tight end and a running back. You're going to see 2 wide receivers usually to your left and a wide receiver to your right, tight end in the slot or in the tight end position. And you're going to see a corner off of there, corner off of the wide receiver, corner off the wide receiver, corner off the wide receiver. Usually see maybe a safety, usually a Harrison Smith or a Josh Metellus. Both of them are super flexible and you can use in a variety of different ways, maybe across from the tight end. And then, but that safety too is going to be creeping up towards the line. And then usually a slot corner on the other side that he might be sneaking into. You might have to block him. Then you've got 4 rushers that are going to be lined up, usually separated, and then 2 linebackers right over the center. So you got 6 guys there. Your safety by the tight end is 7. Your slot is 8. Your corner are 9 and 10. And then 1 other safety that's going to be up in the box that's also going to be feigning whether or not they could blitz or not. And it'll look like it's going to be man-to-man everywhere. And they could bring literally 8 guys on the play, and sometimes even 9. You don't know where anyone's going to come from. So that's piece number 1. You get up to the line of scrimmage and it looks like an all-out pressure with man-to-man coverage. And they are an amoeba, meaning they will spread out and you don't know what you're going to get. And it all happens post-snap. It is not pre-snap looks. If you're going to trying to get a tell from a pre-snap look for when they do that, good freaking luck. They ran a play last week where they're in that sort of look. Everything looks man coverage. Everything looks man. Their corners are off. Their safeties are in the box. And what happens? Their corners, their outside corners at the snap go back and play too high safety. Their safeties go outside and play the outside corner spots in the flats. And then everyone else, they drop the 3 guys into, to flat, curl flat into their 3 zones. And then, or I guess 3 hooks or whatever. And then you've got just 4 guys of those 8 or 9 that rush. But here's the thing. You have no idea what 4 of those guys might rush. It might be 4 from the right. It might be 4 from the left. It might be the 4 right in the middle. It might be 2 left, 2 right, 3 left, 1 right, 1 right, or 3 right, 1 left. You've no idea. And here's the really tricky part of it. They are one of the teams that they have the wherewithal and the smart people like Harrison Smith on the back end that will trigger people based on how Green Bay slides their line. Meaning, So if you have a situation where Green Bay thinks they have a beat on what Minnesota is going to do, all right, they're blitzing off of this side. All right, they're blitzing off the right. We're going to shift our offensive line to the right to pick it up. If you do that, because they're going to be lined up all over the place, Minnesota has the wherewithal to recognize it, have their players on the fly, then back out on the right side and go into coverage and blitz off the left where you don't have an extra guy to pick it up. And they're getting either they get a free rusher, or what happened last week against Houston is you've got Jonathan Grenard. His first 2 sacks aren't even against offensive linemen. I can't remember his third. His third might have been as well. His first 2 sacks are against, I believe, a running back and a tight end last week. So yeah, he's NFC player of the week because his freaking coach got him one-on-one in a look that CJ Stroud had no idea what was happening. And Grenard, one of the better edge rushers in the league, is going one-on-one against a running back and one-on-one against a tight end. Good luck. Good freaking luck. So it is unbelievable. And they will do that, by the way, then they'll bring zero pressure. Like they will absolutely do it. So just when you think like, all right, they're going to drop everyone out of this and I'm going to still have time, they'll bring 7, 8 guys and go zero safety deep. And then they will go and they'll line up in that. And they'll just bring 3 guys and it'll be an 8-man coverage. So what happens in those situations is, so you're thinking, all right, I got my 3 wide receivers, my tight end in your back. And what you do is you tell the running back, because they look like they're going to bring 7, 8 guys. You keep the running back in. You're like, you're going to chip over here and you're going to stay in to protect. You tell your tight end, he's going to stay in to protect. And all of a sudden you've got your tight end protecting, your running back protecting. Now you've got a 3-man route and they've got 8 in coverage. Like, they are just messing with you, and everything that you think is conventional and what they'll do on any given play, they will find ways to do the opposite and stay a step ahead of you. It is really, really fun. It is awesome to watch. Now, everything has a weakness, right? They're playing a little bit of a cat and mouse game. And sometimes you saw in Houston, there'd be guys that are chilling wide open in the middle of the field. They were late to rotate over to it, or just a blown coverage, whatever it might be, or just they vacated that area to bring pressure. And if you see it on time, if you feel comfortable enough and they don't get to you, you might have a guy chilling wide open in the middle of the field. But the big thing that Minnesota does a great job there too is they know that. They know that there are times where they're going to leave a guy wide open at 8 to 10 yards depth, and he's going to get a wide open reception. But what they're so great at is getting that guy to the ground immediately and not allowing for that, him to make a guy miss and get upfield and take it 50, 60 to the house. They get that guy to the ground immediately, and you live to see another down, and then they bring the pressure the next play. They get a sack, and it's 2nd and 19, and your drive is basically dead. So they're playing some cat and mouse. They're taking some risks. They're taking some gambles, but it is paying off for them, and it is a fun brand of defense to watch. Sorry for going on John's question for a while there, but it is fun to talk about some of the stuff they're doing in Minnesota. When is Mina going to be on the pod? I don't know. She hasn't got back yet. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Oh my goodness. She just DM'd me. So true story. Hopefully sooner rather than later. That'd be amazing. I would love to have her on. She's, in my opinion, one of the brightest minds in all of sports talk, in all of football. Like she's the best of the best. I love listening to her talk football. So if we can get her on, that would be beyond amazing. So hopefully that will actually come to fruition. All right. Where do we leave off? I hope he plays well, and I hope Jordan can slice and dice with a running game that cuts through Minnesota like hot butter. Ben, I agree. B. Brown, as I was riding through Green Bay, just was wondering, Packers wins it all. What street will be named after Matt LaFleur? Probably one of the newer streets around Lambeau somewhere, I would assume. But yeah, you can guarantee Ridge Road is Ridge, Matt LaFleur something. Maybe Ridge Road would be a good one to name after Matt. Andy, do you think we might see Matt LaFleur put together some packages with Willis and Love back let me try that again. Some packages with Willis with Love back in the starting lineup? I do not. We kind of talked about that earlier, but like I said, maybe 1 or 2 times total on the year. And I would, if you put the over under on 1.5 times that they would see, if you put the over under on 0.5 times, I will take the under. But if I were to set the line, I'd put it at 1.5 times where we see them do something with Willis with Love still on the field or taking Love out or something like that. I'll put the over under on 1.5, and I will gladly take the under on anyone that wants to take that bet. Now, I'm not saying if Jordan goes out injured for a play or something like that, then yeah, all bets are off. But if Jordan is healthy and good to go, they're not taking him off the field. I will take the under on any bets that anyone wants to give me in that situation. Can the Packers stop the AJ33 revenge tour? I think we can control Jefferson to an extent, but if they get a huge day on the ground, we're in trouble. I know he's going to be motivated. I know he's going to want to play well. And listen, there is no doubt about Aaron Jones being a great back. The question that Green Bay, posed is how healthy can he stay? And they bet that, you know what, we don't think he can stay healthy through the course of a season. And that's why we're making this decision. Or that he's going to decline at some point, maybe not this year, but through the course of maybe this year or through his contract. And I can understand why Green Bay made that bet, but nobody was questioning Jones's ability. He was unreal at the end of last year for Green Bay. He's been great so far for Minnesota. He's going to run well against Green Bay. Like, he's just that dude. He's just that good. How you can limit him is going to be massively important. It's going to be hard watching him run and do all of his Aaron Jones things against a Packers defense. It's going to suck to watch, but he'll probably get his. And then, it's just, again, how much can you limit him? Can you keep him to 4 yards a carry? Can you make them have to throw the ball more? And if so, then Green Bay's going to have a great chance. And I think the other thing too, we know Aaron's not going to get like 25 carries or anything like that, but can you keep him to 15? Can you keep him to 12? Last week we saw the Titans barely run the ball. That'd be great if Minnesota could have to go with a similar game plan, because Green Bay was winning in this one and Minnesota had to throw to get back into it. Is this defense for real, or should we be ready for a Barry letdown? Let's just take it week by week. Even if they have a letdown this week, I'm not going to judge Halfley on it and say, well, that's who this defense is. They're just going to let us down in big games again. Be frustrating, but let's give it some time. Let's see how they gel. Let's see how they respond to it. Same thing. If they go out and hold Minnesota to no points and pick the ball off 5 times, am I going to be excited? Yes. Do I think that's just going to be the norm every week moving forward? No, I don't. I think it's going to be a week-to-week thing, and you just have to see how they continue to trend through the course of the season. Week 1, partly due to field conditions and some bizarre things that happened, not them probably not being fully ready, not having a full preseason. Week 1 didn't look great. Week 2 and 3 looked very good, although there were some couple moments early in the Tennessee game where this doesn't look totally right yet. But I'm very bullish still on what Jeff Hafley is doing with this defense. But again, let's not live on the extremes. Let's understand this is a process, and I just want to see the defense continue to get better through the course of the season. How much would you want Ja to follow JJ or half mix it up? Or does it depend on how Ja's doing in the first couple of drives? Again, I think you got to throw a little bit of everything, and it just depends on what their overall philosophy in this game. Are they going to go more man? Are they going to go zone? Are they going to switch it up a bunch? And then again, if you do feel like you have to double team Jefferson a lot, then I'm more of the, hey, put Valentine. I would try, if Valentine's healthy, I would say let's put Valentine a lot on him with a safety over the top and let Jair go one-on-one with their number 2 receiver, whether that's Addison or Naylor, whoever else is ultimately in there as that number 2. Then Ja can shut that down. Hopefully the double shuts Jefferson down, and now they don't have Hawkinson in this game, and hopefully the run defense can do a good enough job against Aaron Jones. And then to me, you might have a recipe for success with that type of game plan. So just depends, but you got to switch it up a ton. Did you guys read the Aaron Jones letter to Green Bay? Had me crying on the bus today. It was awesome. I love that dude. I have nothing but respect for him. How hard of a time do you think Malik would have with Flores' defense, and what can LaFleur do to set him up for success? Hopefully it's going to be Jordan, but I think the big thing is going to be twofold. They're going to have to find a way to run the ball. Even with Jordan, you got to find a way to run the ball, keep it balanced. And, it's not going to be Indianapolis-esque where they just run down Minnesota's throat, but I do think they have to find a way to keep it so that they can keep in manageable down and distances and not in 3rd and longs. I think that's going to be key. And then it's just, can you throw some of the stuff at Minnesota that you've been doing that's been successful? And I think with Malik, you could. I think some of those plays where you've got trips to the right and you're doing some read option stuff, and you can either hand to the running back, throw to the receiver, or keep on your own. I think you can keep Minnesota off balance with some of that stuff too. So, it's great that you're going to come from every direction, but Malik's got the ability to read in real time too, based on what you're doing. And a lot of times you're just reading one guy, or you're just counting the numbers and you're taking advantage of it. So I think there's things that Green Bay can do, but I do think it's going to be a tougher time with Malik than what you would with Jordan, especially because Jordan has seen this defense twice already and has been able to go against it and kind of know what to anticipate and expect a little bit more. Not saying Gooch should do this, but interesting thought experiment that what Willis trade value might be for a quarterback needing team with a similar offensive philosophy like Miami. We can have that conversation in the offseason. Malik's not going anywhere this year. You found yourself a really good backup quarterback on a very cheap cost. He's just learning the system. He looks awesome. He looks like he has upside. If some team wants to make you a trade offer in the offseason that blows you away, be our guests. But for now, That dude's not going anywhere, and he will remain the backup in Green Bay. But yes, you're hypothetical, and like you said, not going to do it, but it would be an interesting discussion to have of what maybe they could get. It's probably like he's going to have more value in Green Bay right now than anywhere else. And I think people will still say, well, that's, look what Matt LaFleur was able to do. And, they may not trust that they can just do it anywhere, because certainly Tennessee was not able to get that out of him. So it might only be like a 5th round pick at this point anyway, which is good ROI. You spent a 7th, got a 5th in return, and got 2 awesome weeks of play. But if some team called right now and said, we'll give you a 5th for Malik, Goody hangs up quicker than, you could possibly imagine. So he's just going to have more value in Green Bay. He's not going anywhere. I did read AJ's letter. What a great dude. 100%. Andy, I appreciate your take on Rasheed Walker. It's all about the O-line this week. Whoever is starting at QB cannot have those penalties. Got to stay in manageable down and distances. And he just start going with Will Willis. I was just thinking like Malik. I can just go with Malik. Like maybe we don't. I know there's a Malik Heath too, but like I think maybe if I just go with Malik, that's probably the safest thing. We had that damn illegal motion on Bo Melton, the unforgivable Preston Smith offsides. Yeah, there were definitely a couple of those in this last game. The fact that Green Bay has won 2 games and just barely missing the Eagles game was with the absurd amount of penalties. I've talked about this a little bit. Penalties aren't always a massive indicator of winning and losing and or like record at the end of the year. Sometimes the more aggressive physical teams that get a lot of penalties are still end up with really good records at the end. So it's not always apples to apples. You still want to cut it down. It's not great. If you had the choice between penalties or no penalties, sign me up for no penalties, but it's weird that it's not always a massive indicator like turnovers is or anything like that. My key to winning against the Vikings is to clean up penalties, stop Aaron Jones, and slow Jefferson. Would Jeff Hafley put Anderson? Yeah, we talked about that. And definitely all of those things are going to be ultra important in this one. Easier, much, much easier said than done, though, when it comes to stopping Jones and Jefferson. Do you think they will keep all the motions they used the last 2 weeks? I really like the pre-snap confusion it can cause. They're going to do a lot of motion no matter what. They lead the league in motions, and Malik Willis or Jordan Love or anyone else, they're going to continue to motion a lot. So maybe not quite as much as they did with Malik, but if Jordan's out there, I still expect to see a ton of motions in this offense and orbits and everything else. Vex is fired up tonight. He very much is. Oh man, I'm at 7:11 and we are at 7:46. So all right, let me try to get through. I'm going to see. I'll go through member chats and see if we can do this a little bit speed round style. My dad has a signed picture of Bart Starr. He met him in an airport. He says Bart was the nicest guy he's ever met. That does not surprise me at all. I've heard a lot of stories like that. Do you think some of the backfield snaps Reed is getting will become Marshawn Lloyd snaps when they get back? I think they're still going to try to get Jaden Reed some of those looks week in and week out, because I think he's very dangerous and it gives him a different look and gets you some different matchups. I think they're going to continue to use some of those, especially rotations on the D line more, please. Agreed. Is it crazy to think trading up for Watson was a reach in hindsight? Let's see what he does the next couple of years. This year, when Love comes back, let's see what he does next year. I don't know that I would call it a reach yet. It was an aggressive move. We've seen some really good stuff from Watson. He's healthy now. I love the way he's blocking on the outside. We saw 2 big plays from him this past week. Let's see when Jordan gets back what he looks like and how big of a role he has in this offense, and if he can put together an epic year and a half these next year and a half. So we'll see. They didn't move up that much to get him. Well worth it to me. Well, with Watson, it was 2 seconds. So they spent 2 second-round picks on him. That's a pretty price to pay for anyone, quite frankly. So they definitely thought very highly of him. He's shown a lot when given the opportunity. Just staying healthy has been the big bugaboo for him. Going to be confusing when the linebacker core was Hopper and Cooper. You're confusing me by saying Hooper. You're already confused, K-Ant, and now you're confusing me. We're not even going there. Sammy, if it is 40% purple on Sunday, do we need to have a conversation about removing the gold package? I don't know. I don't think that conversation happens no matter what. And I have hopefully some faith that the Milwaukee fans show up big. I know a lot of times the Milwaukee ones where they're less attended are sometimes when it's night games, right? Then you get a little bit more of the Sunday night, Monday night where they don't want to drive all the way back to Milwaukee and it becomes more of a hassle. So I think you see that. I'm hoping with a noon game, divisional opponent, huge game. I'm hoping we see a lot of green and gold in the stands on this one. Raised in El Paso, college at UTEP, and dad was a Cowboys fan. After being ignored by Dallas and being drafted by the Packers, Aaron Jones averaging 4 touchdowns a game against Dallas. So hopefully not revenge for Green Bay. Yeah, well said. The amount of blue in Detroit came to town last year was awful. There have been a couple of games like that recently that have been very disappointing. I don't know, man. JJ is on another level. Quarterback will throw his way at times, regardless of who is on him. You were very right. You were not wrong with that one way or the other. Andy, your AI simulator is going to pick every game right except the Super Bowl. No, Matt, it's going to get everything right. And we'll have to suffer through this week with a loss to Minnesota. But as long as it gets everything else right after that, I will be more than happy to live that out. Also, it'd be pretty cool in hindsight. I think that video will get a lot more views as the season goes on if they continue to do exactly what happens. That being said, I would still fight Vikings fans when they say JJ is better than Tay. Quarterback makes it more difficult for Tay, but that's not his fault. Both those guys in their prime are even to me. I don't think there's much. They're different players, but prime Jefferson, prime Davante, pick your poison. I wouldn't really argue it one way or the other, to be honest. Okay, Ant, Darnold is 8.4 per attempt versus 6.8 for Goff. Darnold 8-2, Goff 3-1, small sample size, but Darnold beat San Fran and Houston. I'm impressed. I agree, Ant. He's been freaking awesome. He's been really freaking awesome. Regarding Darnold, Malik sure blossomed in the right situation. Yeah, it's a huge market inefficiency right now, right? Man, if you've got your opportunity to get yourself on a former top 100 quarterback that didn't work out somewhere, do it. Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, Malik Willis, Sam Darnold. There's somebody I'm missing too. I don't know. There's somebody that I'm missing too. But man, if you've got your opportunity to get your hands on somebody like that, it has worked out. Now, Zach Wilson, we don't know yet. I did think he looked better in Denver than at any point that he looked in New York. Trey Lance is certainly an exception to that. He just does not look like he's going to turn into anything whatsoever. Justin Fields is 3-0. I'm not saying that's all due to Justin Fields. Obviously, their defense has been the primary reason there, but man, you talk about a market inefficiency right now. Get your hands on somebody that's failed somewhere else. Get them into your building. Hopefully you have the right infrastructure for it, and it can be a pretty big game changer very, very fast. And you get a lot of those guys for cheap. Will you be in the booth this week? Our grandson is hoping to spot you if you hear Andy at Pack-A-Day Rocks. I will be in the press box this week. Yes, that is the plan. I'm more nervous about who will be playing quarterback for us. Matt LaFleur has his work cut out for him. I think it's going to be Jordan. I really do. I got my Lines show on in the back. Oh, Mina Kimes show in the background. Good call. Mina's the only football podcast I listened to before. Hey, no. Listen, you can listen to Mina first, but Mina second, but always Pack-A-Day first. Come on. Mina Kimes got the rerun on. Bullard is going to hit Stick Jones. Could happen. I love the way that Bullard is playing. Will there ever be a Rachel Hotmeyer appearance again? She's in Detroit now, I think. So definitely got to get her on once Packers play the Lions. No question about it. Thank you for the reminder, by the way. Malik Willis and Jordan Love start doing split quarterback looks, lateral between one another until a receiver gets open. Don't think we're going to see that, King Kermit, but would be kind of cool if the first snap, if like all the talk, it would be classic Matt LaFleur. That, of course, will be the way that they do it. If the talk all week is who's going to start, is it going to be Malik? Is it going to be Jordan? And then on the first snap, they're both back there. That would be peak Matt LaFleur, just completely trolling everyone. I say trade Quay and roll with the rookies. You keep Quay one way or the other. If nothing else, he'd give you great depth. And like he's a solid linebacker. And you continue to develop him and see if you can get him to click. This is just year 3. This is still around the time where people were asking to trade Devontae Adams. So let's chill a little bit. Let's see how he gels in this particular defense through the remainder of this year. He's the guy that calls the plays. I think you're going to see him be the primary linebacker this year. And if it does not go well, if it continues to have some struggles, then I think in the offseason you have those conversations and what you want to do with Quay from there. Guys, they won't use Malik in that way. Can we just quiet that down? Yeah, we talked about that. Like I said, over-under on 1.5, give me the under. Over-under on 1, give me the under. Preston Smith won't be offsides at his true position of corner. It's probably true. Let's give Aaron Jones a forced fumble hug. Hey, if they can force the fumbles, I will be applauding Aaron Jones in this game, and I'm excited to see him back in Green Bay. But it's not like I'm hoping that he does well. Like, he can have an off game in this one. I'm fine with that. Malik Willis, Taysom Hill roll, not the same type of guys. Not going to happen. Watson scares me. I'm sorry. You mean Christian? He's going to be a big part of this team. He's going to make a huge impact this year. Really believe it. Dan, how dare you? How dare you have a life outside of Pack-A-Day? Unacceptable. We're going to have to talk about that. I thought I said Baker, but maybe I missed it. Andy, just want to say thank you for all the great work you do. You're what my son loves to listen to on the way to school. 3rd grade, also looking forward to Mina Kimes' guest spot. Me too. I'm going to be very pumped if that comes to fruition. But Alexander, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it a ton. And tell your son I say hello. And hopefully he can be a diehard Packers fan / maybe a podcaster, content creator someday as well. And yeah, tell him I say hi and keep cheering on the Pack. Give it a few years, Caleb Williams can be a backup. Hey, maybe he ends up being one of those guys that you get a market inefficiency on. You never quite know. The year is revenge of the bust. Yeah, maybe it is. And we've seen a lot of players that are really tearing it up in their second spot, or in Baker and Darnold's case, their third or fourth spot. One amazing thing that has come out of Love's injuries, LaFleur had to find out what he can run all these plays with Malik under center. Now he has a whole different play set to confuse defenses with. I am wondering how much. Wondering how much that he did learn about his team and running the football. I'm going to be intrigued by that and just what kind of offense they run when Jordan comes back. I actually thought they should have stuck with the run more in Philly or in Brazil against Philly in week 1. And it's not going to work that way every week. They couldn't really run the ball that great for the most part. They had to be a lot more creative with it. But listen, Matt's going to be creative. He has multiple playbooks at his disposal that he wants to go to, and he'll go to it, whatever he think is going to be the best matchup for that individual week. Why is Shaq available? I don't know how to respond to that. I don't know that we talked about Shaq. Shaq Leonard is available. Do you think he might be a good practice squad player? No, Shaq is washed. He's washed. He's done. I don't see him making a major. Now, can somebody surprise you like a Cam Akers out of nowhere a little bit, where it looked like he was not going to have any more left to his career and he's been doing pretty good in Houston? Maybe, but I think Shaq is washed at this point. What is your most impressive surprise for the team this season? I'm amazed at their defense. The field goals are second. What is your biggest frustration? Mine is penalties. Frustration is probably penalties. I agree with that. Surprise is turnovers. Like, that's not an easy thing to do. It's one thing to say it. It's another to have it come to fruition. The fact that they've gone out and forced all these turnovers in 3 weeks, and quite frankly, probably should have 2 or 3 more. It has been really, really impressive. They are being put in a position to go make plays. They are making plays. And it is fun to watch right now. He had some great years in Indy, but yeah, I think the injuries have caught up with him. I don't think he's got it anymore. Glad that Van Ness is making plays. Me too. Great hustle, great intensity, great, obviously athleticism. Hopefully he can start putting a little bit more of a pass rush plan together, but he's playing good football. Three grades in the positive through 3 weeks for me so far from Van Ness. Watch the O-line committee. They did a nice breakdown of the Packers week 2 and 3 game. I'll have to check that out. Agree totally on the turnovers point. Very excited for it and hope to see that continue. Me as well. All right, friends. I think that is going to do it for me today. I'm going to go read to the boys a little bit, and then I'm going to get back to the grind. Might check out the end of this. What's the Fever score? I might have to check out. 50-54. We got a good game. Sun versus Fever. Caitlin Clark down by 4, 3 minutes left. And I think it's a must-win game, right? It's best out of 3. So might have to check a little bit of that out as well. Hope you guys all have a phenomenal rest of your evening. Pack-A-Day members Q&A will be tomorrow at 4 p.m. Happy hour 4 p.m. on Friday. Mike Wall episode tomorrow. Aaron Nagler for members tomorrow. And then Sunday will be a post-game show. No pregame show, but I will do a post-game show when I get back from the game, so you can look for that as well. Talk to you guys all soon. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you all. Until next time. And as always, go Pack Go.